One of the most common questions we receive around our training is why we program full body workouts instead of the traditional split routines. You're probably familiar with body part splits: a chest day, back day, definitely an arm day, maybe even a leg day. If you've ever set foot in a commercial gym, you probably know this rhythm by heart. It feels like science. It feels like tradition. And for a lot of people, including new personal trainers, it feels like the correct way to train. As it turns out, it was more of a marketing decision from around 1965 that turned into a universal training principle. I'll show you why we don't do it and what we do instead. So before the 1960s, American strength training was barbell based, full body, 3 days a week. It was York barbell Olympic lifting. Nobody was doing arm day because full body is what training meant. Body part splits showed up when bodybuilders needed more volume than what the recovery from full body training could handle. Guys like Arnold and the whole muscle beach scene started isolating body parts to drive the weekly volume higher and higher. And then Joe Weider turned that into a publishing empire. From around 1965 to the year 2000, the magazines Muscle and Fitness and Flex were pretty much the only training education that anyone ever received. These magazines focused on split routines because they were reverse engineered from bodybuilders who were prepping for a show, not for your uncle who's trying just not to throw his back out. Arnold's Encyclopedia of Modern Bodybuilding is still the most read training book of all time. Those are the primary waters that everyone's been swimming in for the last 60 years, including whatever program you learned in high school. It's not just history. For most commercial gyms, it's the floor plan and the business math. A big box gym monetizes its square footage with machines. One machine trains one muscle. When you buy 40 machines, you have to organize the room somehow. And that's how you end up with chest over there, arms over there, and legs are somewhere in the back. So when a new member walks in the gym, the room itself is actually telling them it's chest day, which means it's probably Monday, because I learned in high school that International Chest Day is Monday. That's the business model that most commercial gyms are set up on. They have a lot of machines that train isolated muscles. Then they try to sell 10,000 memberships against a floor space that accommodates about 300 people and hope that most everyone doesn't show up. The business math on that doesn't require a lot of staffing. A leg extension machine isn't complicated. It doesn't require a lot of coaching. But a deadlift with a barbell, well, that does. The people that work in commercial gyms have largely come up through that same culture. So the bias towards body part splits just perpetuates itself, gym after gym, decade after decade. And honestly, it feels right. Nobody walks in and says, I think my hip hinge is off. They complain they don't like their arms. So body part splits, they're already talking the language that most people are speaking. To be fair, split routines aren't wrong. For someone with a lot of training experience that has 60 to 90 minutes to spend in the gym 4 to 6 times a week, these can be a very useful application. The problem is it's the wrong tool for the wrong job. Split routines are often handed to people least suited for them. People with limited time to train, an ever-changing schedule, that sit down most of the day. That's the exact population that should not be doing split routines. Every single one of the top strength and conditioning coaches in the industry that works with general population clients, meaning busy professionals, they all use full body training. I've yet to meet a single one that uses body part splits for that population. So instead of training your body around muscles, we train your body around movement patterns like push, pull, hinge, squat, lunge, and load to carry. Then we'll throw in some rotation and anti-rotation for your core. Every session touches multiple patterns, and every week you're going to hit all of them more than once. For somebody who only has 3 hours a week to train, hitting every movement pattern multiple times a week is a much better option than training chest and arms twice a week and your legs twice a year. Full body training is going to replicate your life outside the gym. It'll ask you to squat down and lift up a box, put your luggage in a bin overhead on an airplane, and carry your groceries in from the car. There's a few things that we do with full body training you'd almost never find in a split body routine. An example would be loaded carries. Pick up something heavy, walk around with it. Get farmer's carries, suitcase carries, mixed carries, and racked carries. Carries train your grip, your core, your traps, your legs, and your posture all at once. It's human locomotion under load. Another exercise you won't find in a traditional body part split would be a kettlebell swing. Kettlebell swings are an explosive hip hinge exercise that produce what is known as the what the hell effect. If you train swings for a few weeks, you'll notice that your deadlift gets better, your sprints get faster, your squats feel more stable, even though you never trained any of those things directly. And that's because the kettlebell swing trains the hip extension engine that powers half of the other patterns that you train. These exercises don't build a muscle for size. They do, however, improve your strength, your conditioning, and your life outside the gym. Body part splits aren't evil. They're potentially a great training tool for somebody with ample training time and consistency. They're an awful option for a professional with a busy schedule and a host of responsibilities outside the gym. Our training is full body because that's simply what carries over to your life outside the four walls of the gym.